1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here we go, guys. The camera is on.
Hey, how about that Zelensky exchange with Trump?
We don't do politics here.
That didn't go well, did it?
Well,
For Zelensky, it didn't. I was like, holy crap.
well, don't forget who carries the big stick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so anyway,
Message.
we're running about a 20-second delay.
It didn't work.
Yeah, we're running about a 20-second delay, so when I put a picture up, it'll be about 20 seconds before you guys see it. So, all right, everybody, it's Max and Max's Models, and welcome to another scintillating episode. And why do I have the good... that goes in. Okay, there we go. Now we have a proper pictorial representation of everything. We are on the air. We are live on the interweb. And hello, everybody. Steve's with us, and I thought I turned that off.
Hi, guys.
Oh, gotta turn this volume down all the way. All right, there we go.
I'm here, too, until he decides to announce me.
And We're here with Steve and Ken. So.
Those bastards.
What? Yeah. Language.
Cuddly Ken. Okay.
Oh my God, you are never living that one down. That's right up there with Ken. And oh no, they killed Kenny. The Cuddly Ken doll, available at your nearest toy retailer.
Hey, I have a movie. You don't.
Hey, the Blue Max. Call me Bruno.
What about you, Steve? You got a movie?
Every third character's named Steve. Steve Rogers, Captain America.
It's more like the Big Lebowski, but.
So, what I thought we'd kick off with before we go off on tangent. By the way, last live stream, we did an excellent job of staying on topic the entire 2 hours. I promise not to let that happen again tonight.
Boring.
Boring, man. So, something that I saw that was kind of interesting, and it prompted the idea for tonight's the thing was, what are you...
Mad Max.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Mad Max. Yeah, there you go. So, I stumbled on a picture of this war museum in Vietnam where they have all the old captured American equipment on display. And all of it is highly inaccurately painted. And apparently, I guess the Vietnamese, they captured a lot of this stuff when South Vietnam fell. And I guess they used whatever paint they had on hand. And for example, on all these airplanes, they put this big white U.S. Air Force down the side, which is absolutely not how he painted the airplanes. In fact, on the right, you can see the Sky Raider and the Scotia Tiger that were actual Air Force aircraft, American Air Force aircraft, and they're almost completely differently painted. But the Sky Raider, I mean, it's got white U.S. Air Force under the cockpit, and I'm kind of like, come on, guys. But the Cessna 190, the Cessna 185 or the U-17, we didn't even use that. That was an export airplane. Just like, except for the Scotia Tigers, we didn't use the F-5. But what I was...
Is this the Vietnamese Air Force's planes or the ones they shot down in wars?
No, these are the ones they captured after the war. They do have a pile of airplane parts and B-52 stuff of planes they did shoot down, which is accurate because they just stacked it all in a corner. But they captured, oh God, I forget what it was. It was like, they captured like...
Tom Fox says that Jane Fonda was their technical advisor.
Yeah. They captured several hundred aircraft when the regime fell, and I was interesting. Side note, and here goes tangent number one.
We got a number of them now. Let me keep count.
I'm just the little A-37, the attack version of the Tweet Trainer, which there's one in the upper center there. The A-37 Dragonfly, which I just built a model of recently, was actually used by them not only against the South because of a defecting pilot, But they also used them in their war with, I think it was Laos, fighting the Khmer Rouge. And they even used they even got a few of the F5s flying and used them for a while. And they just basically used them till the parts ran out. So they used a lot. Well, if you ever remember the movie with Gene Hackman, the late, great Gene Hackman, the Uncommon Valor, he tells the helicopter pilots who's going to steal some choppers. He goes, they fly them regularly, so they're pretty well maintained. That's actually true. They used a lot of our equipment. I'm going to show some pictures of some of the stuff they captured and used in later operations, which is a testament to, how good those machines were, that they were able to keep them running. And in fact, the F5 was designed specifically for ease of maintenance. But these are some paint schemes. If you're like, well, just want to do something entirely different, you're tired of building the Navy Blue Sky Raider or the Air Force Sky Raider or whatever, here's something completely wild you can do that's just different. And I was shocked. They captured more equipment than they got some C-130s and C-123s and C-119 cargo planes. And I stumbled across this picture, which, again, I'm sorry, you guys won't see it for about 20 seconds. The upper picture is one of the C-119 flying boxcars that we gave to the South Vietnamese. Well, they captured it when it fell, and a lot of people forget that a lot of the people in South Vietnam didn't leave. They stayed behind and just accepted the new regime, so they were able to round up enough technical expertise. Well, the one on the bottom in black and white is one of the with the star on the tail, the communist star on the tail. That is actually a former South Vietnamese C-119, maybe even the one in the picture up above, that the Chinese commandeered, and they ran paratroop airborne operations with it. I don't know anything about what they did, if it was in Laos or if it was a training mission, but somehow they kept that thing flying for a while, and they milked the life out of those things. And
oh, sorry.
What?
Sluggo just put up a comment that was rather humorous.
$3 oh God, you had to go there. We love you long time, GI. You number one, boom boom.
At least for 10 minutes.
Don't forget, I served in the post-Vietnam. I mean, I went in enlisted in 78. The war had been over a few years. But all of the sergeants, drill sergeants, and all of our NCOs are all Nam vets. So we got the whole story about that place. And heck, I even learned to speak a little Vietnamese, Korean, and French while I was in, just because all the slang they used.
Reading menus does not count as learning the language.
Yeah, but it'll get you fed. But, yeah, there we go. Clearly some people have seen Full Metal Jacket one time too many. But, I'm just saying, if you want to do something different with your Model C-119, you're, like, hey, let's put it in these colors. And they even had a C-130 that they caught several of them. You can tell the old 3-bladed ones. You'll see in about 20 seconds. But they didn't put one of those in a museum, but one of them it's like in a park by some famous tunnels. They wheeled it in there. Those are probably a little too complicated for them to keep flying. Although they did fly one of them for a while, because the one on the bottom apparently is in, judging by the say, they said that was one that they were able to operate for a little bit. But I'm guessing, as complicated as C-130 is, without a part supply chain and the expertise, it probably didn't last too long. But
they put a lot of guys on that little airplane.
Well, they're little guys.
That's what I was thinking too. They could pack them in a little tighter.
Hey, it is what it is. Japan Airlines puts like 20% more seats on a domestic flight than we do here, because Japanese are just physically smaller than Americans.
Yeah, we're politically correct here.
And don't forget, not only are Americans bigger than Asians in general, but let's face it, in the West, most of us are overweight on top of that. So, the FAA had to adjust average passenger weights about 10, 15 years ago, because and they were real generous. They upped it about 10 pounds for women, about 15 pounds for men. You're being generous.
It was 170 before. Nobody weighed 170 except you're anorexic or something.
Yeah.
Your dad weighed 170.
They had to up those also, because everybody packs everything in their carry-ons. So anywho, if you've got an old C-130, you want to do something different with it, I'm like, these are just some ideas for ways to modify your Because the A-37, and by the way, the pictures you guys are going to see shortly, that A-37 is being taxied out by a Vietnamese pilot. Well, that was just a Vietnamese pilot after the war. So apparently they were able to operate those things for quite a while, and they saw quite a bit of combat. And one of the operations that people don't know about is, you got to remember that war was largely a civil war. And there were a lot of deep-seated North Vietnamese agents operating in the South, and one of them, I think his name was Trang, was a pilot. He was an F-5 pilot in the South Vietnamese Air Force. And when things were really going south, they activated him. So when he took off, instead of flying up to the front and dropping bombs, he dropped a couple of bombs in the palace courtyard and then scurried off to North Vietnam. Well, which they said really aided in the collapse of the place when people saw South Vietnamese airplanes dropping bombs on the palace. Well, when he got up there, they were making their big push. They had overrun some airfields, and they had captured 5 flying A-37s, what you see in the picture. And they wanted to use them on a strike mission against the South Vietnamese army. And since he had trained in those things in the States, he showed them how it worked. They went up and trained up real quick, and they flew them. Well, no one shot at them because they were South Vietnamese airplanes. And they flew a successful strike mission. And he went on to be like the chief pilot at Vietnam Airways. So somebody's got something going on in the background. I can hear it.
Not me. No. Uh-uh.
Maybe it's mine. Oh, I'm sorry. That one's on me. I hadn't turned the volume down all the way on my iPad. But anyway.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We get blamed, Ken.
That's what you're here for. Take it like a man.
It's always our fault. Right?
Well, yeah.
Never,
That's why a first officer gets 3 stripes. It stands for always my fault.
It's never the wizard behind the curtain, Ken.
Ignore the man behind the curtain. So anyway, those were just some ideas. And when I started digging into this, I stumbled onto this little jewel. This is the ZIS-2 57 millimeter anti-tank gun. It's a piece of Russian hardware. And I was reading about it was the Korean War, and they said one of these things knocked out the big, heavy American Pershing tank. I'm like, wait a minute. How do you knock out a Pershing with this little 57 millimeter pop gun, right? Well, it turns out it ain't such a little pop gun. Yeah, it's only 57 millimeter. That's not a particularly large bore. But they have got, it's like a 223 round or a 270. They got this little armor-piercing projectile with this gigantic casing behind it and that real long barrel to trap all the gases. So that thing has got a mega high velocity round. And yeah, one of those little 57 millimeter pop guns crippled a big old, 45 ton American Pershing. And when I started looking at that, I realized they gave these guns to every sympathetic country out there. The Israelis got their hands on some, probably captured from the Arabs. And they used them forever till they ran out of ammo. Knowing them, they probably started making their own. But this is another one of those things that you can put it from anything. You can use this on a diorama. What?
Obviously, Chris is not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the point I'm getting at is that you can put this on any diorama. All right? That involves just about any battlefield in history. World War II, Korea, Lebanon, anything that goes on in Eastern Europe, the Balkans, any place. And it's one of those that even though it's sold as a Russian gun, you can use it to spruce up any diorama. It does, and since almost everybody does the same thing, they paint their artillery pieces green. You don't even have to repaint it. So it's just a way of, piece of equipment. The other thing you can do that with is a Willys Jeep, because God, those things are still being used today. But
Ken, couldn't you just do this gun on a diorama with the Haas figure?
There you go. It's almost the right scale.
That sounds like something they would shoot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, you could put that on a Star Wars set, and
Well, now this is why I'm a car guy.
Nah, we're gonna get to that in a little bit, but one thing I started looking at I
We
have.
gotta give Steve something to talk about.
Oh, we're gonna get to the cars.
it's
Don't
okay.
worry.
I'm having a good time.
We're gonna get to the cars. Don't worry. They're down here. So I have a Mustang on the table and 7 on the shelf, and I'm thinking every one of them.
Dealership.
Well, every one of them. What?
That was really good, Steve.
I missed it.
Thanks,
What do you say? I missed it.
Is Max still there?
Yeah, I missed what you said. What was this divine witticism that I didn't hear?
All right, listen this time. You said, I have 1 Mustang on the bench and 7 Mustangs on the shelf, and I said, open a Ford dealership.
Yeah, P-51 Mustangs, but okay. But I do have one of those in the garage. Anyway, out in the day, beautiful day. So every one of the P-51s I have, all are, of course, in U.S. markings. And nothing against that, but I've got 2 on the shelf in U.S. markings. I mean, that's one reason I'm doing this other one in Korean markings. I'm like, what's something you can do? Like, and I started snooping around, and man, there are so many different. What?
I like it. I'll go for it. Okay. All right.
New suggestion: a Ken build. Oh Lord.
And then we'll have a Barbie build.
I'm dealing with children. Anyway,
Basically, you've lost control early tonight.
no, that's okay. All control is an illusion. So, but I stumbled across a bunch of wicked cool foreign paint jobs. So if you got a Mustang on your shelf and you want to do something other with it, you're like, yeah, let's have some fun. And these are just a couple examples. Of course, there are the Dominican Mustangs, which, by the way, almost had to go nose to nose with Cuban MiG-21s back in the 70s.
Garfield says, K&E build. Must be a diorama with a sailboat, a sandbank, and a tugboat with tow ropes.
Ken, did you get that video I sent you? Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yes, I did.
I don't know if you agree with the guy, but apparently it's a buyer's market for boats.
Well, I'm not planning on selling mine anytime soon, so I'm not too worried about it.
But anyway, I just kept finding all these, like the Dominican Mustangs. And by the way, yes, in the 70s, Operation Pico, when the Dominicans grabbed those Cuban spy boats and the Cubans were flying MiG-21s over the Puerto Plata and the Dominican Republic and to scare the Dominicans. And they were out there trying to scramble P-51s. These airplanes, you said, they were trying to scramble them against MiGs. And I was like, yep, that's going to work out well. Hey, but say what you want.
It did not sink. It did not sink. It didn't even take on any water.
Yet, the day is young. But laugh all you like, though. The Mustang, of course, is no match in the air for a MiG-21, which could come and go. But the MiG-21 could only stay up for about an hour. The Mustang had 7 hours of fuel, so they could chase them all the way back to Cuba. And they'd be the MiGs would be out of fuel when they got there. The Mustangs would just be ready for the fight. So there is an advantage to that. But anyway, it didn't come to pass. They let the boats go, and that was that. But you got other airplanes.
Did the frogs get Mustangs?
Everybody did. My God, we were giving them away because we were moving to jets, and but there's just all kinds of paint schemes. And one of the reasons there's so many Mustangs in private collections today is because a lot of these Latin American Air Forces sold them off when they were done with them, right? When they moved up to jets or whatever, and collectors were down there snapping them up. In fact, the late Connie Edwards, the guy who had all the planes from the Battle of Britain, who passed away not too long ago, that camouflage Mustang he had, I think was, I don't know, it was Guatemalan or Honduran. It was one of the Latin American countries that he got it from. So because they operated these things for, in fact, one of the countries. I'm sorry. Oh, hold on. We're going to get to something far more impressive than this because a lot of people already knew that they flew. They also kept a bunch of Corsairs and Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts were real big down in Brazil. In fact, The Brazilian pilots had actually flown combat missions in World War II in Europe in Thunderbolts. People forget the Brazilians sent pilots over there. But well, this is what I'm getting at, is you've got all these cool paint schemes nobody ever thinks of. And but here's one you're really going to love. And I'm not making, you can't make this up. The Red Chinese had about 50 Mustangs. And I'm talking about the communist Chinese. So what happens is, and that wasn't all they had of our equipment either. What happens is when what's his nuts? Chiang Kai-shek. When Chiang went to Taiwan, they left a lot of stuff behind they couldn't take with them. And I want to say it was 51 or something like that Mustangs that the Red Chinese inherited. And as you'll notice, this guy's just one example. Lieutenant Tan Hanzu, he defected. And I know it's hard for us to understand this, but I've been watching like Indian Idol's The Korean War. Apparently life under Chiang's China wasn't exactly a picnic. And a lot of people were very disenchanted. And they thought, because you got to remember this is the 50s. And like, you know what? Maybe it'll be better under Mao. And so there were a lot of defections. But they actually operated those Mustangs until 53. Now, they did not take them into combat. But they did fly parades and stuff like that. I think they flew the celebration parade when they chased Chiang off the island. And I found a lot of photographs. They were very proud of those Mustangs they had, and they kept them flying as long as they could. Obviously, we weren't selling them any spare parts. They even had a two-seater, and they had, I don't know, I think it's something they rigged up themselves. They pulled the canopy off and put controls in the back, and I think the Nationalists had done that. But anyway, all I'm getting at is that, here's another option to do something completely different with your Mustang. And just so you don't think that this is some kind of one-off, they are still flying 20 Sikorsky Blackhawks today. And no, I don't mean Chinese knockoffs, although the Chinese do have a knockoff. They actually bought 20 civilian S-60s on the open market and for hot and high operations from Sikorsky. And we supplied parts for a long time until Tiananmen Square. And then they said, okay, we're not giving you any more parts. But they managed to keep them flying, just buying parts on the open world market. And that's probably one of the reasons they were down there after the fall of Afghanistan, trying to buy everything they could from the Taliban, because they were able to keep the things flying. But there's, just a completely different way to build your model, to paint your model, do something different. Because I know a lot of people, they kind of hit fatigue.
It's amazing what you can find on eBay.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't shock me if that's where they got half the stuff. But, I mean, the Reds had to fly whatever they could. They were flying captured Japanese aircraft after the war. Not very many of them, because most of them were destroyed. But I think they had like 8 Nakajima Hayabusas that they got, in like 45 at the end of the war. And I think they wrecked most of them. But they operated like 3 of them, depending on whose numbers you want to buy. But and here's a cool paint scheme, and they didn't reinvent the wheel. I think they just took the Japanese paint scheme and put their roundel over it and repainted the tail. That kind of looks like a Japanese paint job. But anyway, and all I'm saying is all of us have got models on the shelf that we probably built a dozen times. I'm just thinking of ways you can do something different with it, interesting. And of course, every time I do research on these things, you expand your knowledge base, whether you want to or not. And I'm thinking, if I can get some of these decals, I might make some of these, because I've got half these kits. And I'm like, there's something different to do. That'll get people's attention.
Scale Model says Hobby Boss does a P-51 kit with Chinese markings. It's a very good kit.
Yeah, but which Chinese, nationalist or communist? Because both sides had Mustangs. That'd be pretty cool. Do one in each, put them on opposite ends of your shelf or something. Okay, here's your useless trivia. I know the French took a bunch of German Panthers after the war, and they used them in their army for about 5 years because they were Panthers. But do you know what was one of the very first tanks the German army got from us after the war? The M47 Patton. Yes, we gave the Germans Patton tanks. And So, if you've got a dozen patents on your shelf and you want to do something different, slap an iron cross on that bad boy.
Scale model said the communists.
Well,
Sluggo wants to know how to buy a Max's Models t-shirt.
I'll just download it and print it. My sister-in-law makes these for me. And just download the logo. There's a dozen people on the internet. You just send them the picture and they'll put it on a t-shirt. Or they'll make it and send it to you and you iron it on yourself.
I probably monetize your channel. You need to make and sell this stuff yourself.
I know. I'm probably going to do that in about a month. I'm going to probably have to monetize the channel here, and so and probably sell a little bit of stuff. It's just right now I got my attention going in 7 different directions, and once I can focus on it, then that'll be different. Just finished up the Tarbis and everything. But turnabout being fair play, of course, the Germans. We gave them our tanks, but that's because we didn't hesitate to steal theirs. And one of the things I noticed, and I don't know why, but on a lot of the captured tanks in World War II, obviously they put the big American star on it to prevent fratricide, but the one on the glacis plate is often upside down. And I don't know if that's accidental or coincidental or if there was a reason for it, but I put my ME-262, my RC. You remember I had it in the markings of the ones that we brought back to the U.S. I could put a big American star on it, and just to do something different. And one reason is I had a free wing ME-262, and that camouflage pattern worked surprisingly well. It made it bloody near impossible to see the thing when I flew it.
Yeah, which is why you don't fly models in camouflage.
Yeah, But the ultimate in being able to repaint and reutilize has got to be the cars. I went to I just put in NASCAR Impala and got all of these different images and everything, and I was like, Jesus, you could. Who is it? What's that company that only has a few bodies? Salvino's. And I'm like, what do they have? A half dozen molds with 300 different sets of decals?
Yep, pretty much.
And
that's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah. That's a nice thing. You can do the same thing with a Mustang. Sell, just have one good P51D mold and just sell all these different paint schemes and everything and decal sets and stuff. Been building Mustangs for a year and never make the same one twice.
There you go. Steve Jarvis says, and a model kit of the Tarbis.
I could actually do that. Actually, there is a printout that Eric DeGrone made for me that he put it on cardstock, and that's how I made the let me hold on. This little Tarbis. Some of you guys have made it, and you print it off on cardstock, and he's an architect, so it's architecturally accurate. And I need to make one. I can use that as a thing to make them out of plastic. But and since everything's flat, you could just use a punch sheet. Kind of the way Test Flight does their RCs. It's all flat cardboard. And
put some clear plastic behind the door and light it up and show little model airplanes inside.
You know what? Those little 1 to 700 scale carrier airplanes would be about the right size. Ken, that's not a half bad idea.
You just didn't let it go, could you? I thought, you never know.
No, really. I've always wanted to manufacture models, but obviously the barrier to getting into it's too high. And I'll tell you, I thought I did have, and let me get some feedback from you guys. I had thought about, like Andy does over at Andy's Hobby Headquarters, see what company that has molds, like Atlantis or somebody, might pop some kits for me. All right? And then just come up with my own decal, have a decal maker make up my own set of decals for it, and then, market it. What are you laughing at? Thank you for that.
Let that one go.
You want to see it?
No.
and 106 retinas burned out across the globe.
Somebody just got in. They're going to be confused as to what the heck is going on.
Yeah. Made enough plastic. Thanks, Trey. By the way, I'm gonna swing by tomorrow, Trey. I'm gonna stop by tomorrow and bring you that aileron if you're gonna be home. And Bruce, if you're here, I'll be passing through if you want me to drop that model car off to you. But I need to call Bruce and see if he's gonna be around tomorrow as I pass through.
Weaver Crazy says, and one day some archaeological dig finds the Darbus model and asks, "What the F?"
Yeah, well, the decal, I'd have to take the photograph because I took some photos of the inside of the old Tarbus and make those the inside decals.
Trey says he'll be here.
Oh, great. I'll call you or text you before I head over. Oh, God. Thanks, Kraut. That'll be my superhero name, Bellyman. He's one of the alternative superheroes.
Somebody suggested making a bobblehead of you.
That's not much of an exaggeration, though. You know. How about a bobble belly? Sorry, we made him as a bobble belly, but he flipped the car.
You know, when I go to Toy Fair, I'll talk to Funko and see if they could put a Max in a can.
Oh God, I should have brought my cough medicine with me. She can't take the abuse much longer.
Scale.
I'm glad you guys think you're humorous. Anyway.
We are. It's funny as heck. Here we go. ALSMC85 says, Max, the flying nose weight.
I have yet to have a nose wheel pop up on me yet. Do you remember one of those cross-country race movies, one of those rally movies, where Bert Convey's riding a Harley and he's got his old mechanic on back who put on weight, so they're popping a wheelie the whole time? It wasn't a great gumball rally, but it was one of them.
We've lost track of the tangents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we gave up on that a long time ago. Well, the thing I want to ask everybody is, I'm sure a lot of you guys build stuff and you've built a dozen times before and you want to do something else with it. So what's kind of your go-to if you have one? You know, do you build a fantasy kit or do you just look for different markings of the same vehicle or whatever? I mean, I got to admit, you know, King Kong would look pretty cool with a Godzilla head. But I actually saw somebody do something like that at JaxCon. I think it was JaxCon 2 years ago, or maybe it was Model Palooza. But he had like the lower half of a Godzilla with the upper half of a Gundam. And, I mean, it wasn't a quick cache. I mean, this was a detailed... And I was like, somebody put an awful lot of work into this rather twisted idea, which I had to admit kind of worked. New twist on Mechagodzilla. But,
sure, okay. If you say so, Max.
I don't know. I don't know if I took a picture of it or not. But it was just one of those things that somebody's... Oh, listen, I see a couple of models of these things. I'm like, there are some twisted minds out there.
Some people just got too much time on their hands.
Well, I saw one where a guy did some really wrong stuff with some Disney characters, and I was like, man, I'm not surprised they let you put that on the table.
Did anybody leave a breadcrumb trail back to the topic?
Yeah. Don't even get me started on the Kermit and Miss Piggy models that I saw. What topic?
How about a Max head on the Godzilla body? I'd buy it.
Well, that's more or less what a donut sees in its mind. But you know, I think they can 3D print your own head. I guess you have to have it scanned or whatever.
You get it scanned. They can 3D print you as a figure.
Well, I actually have that one I was talking about the other day, which is actually, what was it, Metzer? The Bob Metzer, the NASCAR, the race car guy. Do you remember Metzler? I was actually Somebody,
Brian says, "Hey Max, Max put a lot of effort into going off topic for this live stream."
there you go, baby. I'm glad somebody appreciates my efforts. Let's see, was it?
Godzilla
Yeah.
porn is falling flat for once.
Broadway Bob Metzler, Drag Racing Hall of Fame. Okay.
We're back on topic again.
Hold on. Let me add that to
For
this.
how long? About now.
Image. Browse.
I might just buy a 3D scanner just to do that.
There you go. Okay. I tell you what, Ken, you buy the scanner, I'll let you do it. Yes, you can scan my head.
Now there's an incentive.
Okay. Somebody sent me this figure. Said he looks like you, and he kind of does. It's a Jimmy Flintstone 1/25th scale Broadway Bob Metzler, 1996 Drag Racing Hall of Fame inductee and track promoter. Now, Steve, I thought you'd know this guy.
No.
There's something about cars that Steve doesn't know. Hold on, guys. I'm going to have to catch my breath.
Sorry.
But
he's a racetrack promoter. He's not really a race guy.
Well, anyway, and don't start fishing for excuses now. You've let us all down.
Yeah, okay. That would be Max Headroom.
Well, let's be honest. If there's one thing I've got, it's headroom.
Good all sorts of body parts.
So, and now switching back to models, I went to Hurricane Hobbies today. In fact, you'll see some of the stuff on the morning video. It'll drop at 5 a.m. But that you're going to see a 1/3 scale Carrera engine. That's a $200 kit. But also, I went over there to see about getting some metalizer. I thought I'd do the Mustang and metalizer. I have plenty of the black lacquer to coat it with, but I used up all the metalizer on my on the Mace and some others. Anyway, they all they had was brass color. They won't have any more for a few more weeks. But I was like, well, I can go ahead and rattle can it with Tamiya lacquers. I'm not entirely sure, and this is what I was going to bring up, if metalizer's worth the effort on a lot of these models, especially with the more aluminum-based colors, because the aluminum lacquers and stuff have come so far. They really got, you got to put them on super light coats and build it up very gradually. But I've noticed that the metalizers, for all the grief you put into them, don't necessarily put out that much of a better product than some of the regular, rattle can silvers and aluminums. And I thought I would get you guys feedback on that, because that's probably a heresy to some of the hardcore guys. But I'm sure there's things you can't do with the lacquers that you can do with the metalizers. But the metalizers are lacquers, and they're just going over a black coat. I wonder just a thought, normally I prime the airplanes in gray, like most of us do. If I'm going to use aluminum, I wonder if I'd be better off to prime it with a gloss black, because that's what you do with the metalizers. I wonder if that would make any difference. Maybe make the aluminum color look a little richer. Drink.
Somebody have a drinking game going with words that you say?
I actually only bought one kit and some AK weathering pencils. Oh, okay. Because the paints he had were AK paints. I like using metal users in the motorcycle exhaust. Well, that makes sense, because you got to get that tint. Something that's lost, something that's been heat treated. They have that multi-tonal look. Some brass and some silver and whatever color it is, because of the way the heat, and you even get the blues and stuff in there. And ironically, if something I found that's really good for trying to put the blue heat treatment are the little Tamiya weathering brushes. They have a blue color that's just perfect for that, and goes on real light, and probably not as good as a paint, but it's just easier to clean up if you make a boo-boo. And
he's taking over our job, Steve. He's reading the comments now. I know, that's bad, man. Yeah, that's a bad thing.
Yes, please gloss back. It makes such a difference. Okay, then I'll hit the Mustang in black, and then I'll the gloss black.
But she goes right over the funny ones. I know.
Well,
he's doing a terrible job too.
What?
Yeah.
You little heretic. That's it, Kay. That's it, Ken. You're getting a pay reduction.
There you go, Ken. Now you're paying him. Oh boy. Well, just cut my pay in half. I'll be all right.
Yep, cutting it by 60%. This thing down here, got a little loose on me.
In case anybody out there doesn't know, I do this for free, believe it or not.
We all do, Ken. In fact, we're all paying to be here.
In many ways.
You never had it so good. And what do you work on, Steve? What do you have on the bench?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I have a Sea Dart.
An old vintage Strombecker Sea Dart. One of the first
Strombecker.
500 ever made, and Zippy here is building it.
That's right. And let's see, what else do I have?
Because somebody didn't read the printed number on the instruction sheet, number 396 of 1000.
See what JM said? Yeah. Yeah. Steve's saying to himself, wait a sec, can he get paid? And Bill just figured it out. 6% of 0 is...
Don't ask me to do your math for you. Ken, you need to strike. Okay, does he mean strike like go on strike or strike like attack with an X-Wing?
Did you start the Galileo yet?
No, I haven't. I got one on the shelf and I got one on the build table. But I've got 8 models on the build table that I've ignored forever. 9 if you count that missile set. And I've got but I've got to finish the Mustang before I do anything. And I got the Ontos in the paint booth. And I actually didn't even go out to the shed today.
Francis Stephen Ken, it appears you are both the target of MOYE, Max's Office of YouTube Efficiency Reduction.
That's right, baby. The Mage. The Mage. But I didn't even get out to the Tarbis today.
Read Scale Model Apprentice. This is a question to you, Max. He says, Max, I am going to the hobby shop tomorrow. What type of kit should I buy? Car, ship, plane, figure? What?
Well, the answer is always airplanes. But
really, was there any doubt?
Yeah. First choice aircraft, second choice armor, third choice car, fourth choice ship, fifth choice figure, including kaiju.
On reducing number of percentage of the hobby.
One of the things that okay, have you guys ever noticed you can have something that's in your way, and it can be like big and bulky and in your way, and don't make a comment about me. I'm not talking about me. Like
our wives.
You're flirting with disaster, but it's a pain in the butt. But after a while, you get so used to going around it, you quit noticing it. I have that C-57D flying saucer, and I laid all the parts out and did an entire video on it. And then when I was about to get started, I got sidetracked with stuff, so I put it back in the box. And the box is kind of in the way, but I am so used to it being in the way now, I tend to forget I have this gigantic $200 model that's waiting for some attention. And it's too big to put on the build table because it would eat it up by itself. So I got to finish my Airbus 320, my Douglas DC-8, my Monogram rocket missile set. That's been sitting languishing for at least 5 years. The C-57D. Christ, I got a couple other models up there I don't even remember. And when I finish the Mustang and the Ontos, I have got to stop opening boxes, including the shuttlecraft, until I finish what's on the build table, because that stuff's just collecting dust. And the sad part is some of them are pretty good models, too. It's just, the excitement of opening the model, and you get your first few parts put together, and then the next shiny thing comes down, so you set it aside and you start playing with it. Next thing you know, you've got a bunch of quarter, half-built models, or some of them are almost done. They just need the paint. And
just think, Max, when you retire, you can finish them all.
Well, I gotta discipline myself, to get up in the morning, do my exercise, have my coffee, then go out and start working on models. Because I usually sit down, have my coffee.
Concrete.
Well, what happens is I sit down here, I have my coffee, still in my PJs and stuff, and I start watching YouTube videos. The next thing I know, it's lunchtime. I'm like, I haven't even been out to the shed, so I start working in the afternoon.
The crash says, be sure to schedule in lifetime.
Oh, yeah. She knows how to hook me. I go through where our TV is in the bedroom, and I go through the bedroom to get something, and she'll put on the Avengers or Firefly or a military documentary, and I just kind of lean back and look, and about 10 minutes later, I'm sitting in my chair like a trained dog.
Boy, you're going to be all set for nursing home life.
Well, there you go.
From what I read about retirement, you're supposed to be taking advantage of being still active in the early part of your retirement so you can enjoy those things, because later on you just get all decrepit and falling apart and crap like that, and you can't do anything.
I'll have you know, Ken, I did not wait to get old to become decrepit and start falling apart.
Yeah, he was ahead of the curve.
There you go, baby. Why put off to your 80 what you can start when you're 40? Between my motorcycle accidents, parachuting accidents, traffic accidents, saying a few things in bars I probably shouldn't have. I got these teeth.
Scale model says, okay, follow-up question. What kind of airplane? Airliner, fighter, bomber, World War II, Cold War, excuse me.
Gonna go with the World War II fighters first, followed by the Cold War jets second. If you want to do something for the Korean build, a MiG-15 or F-86 or F-80 or an F-51 Mustang, if you want to kind of split the difference on World War II and Korea. Because flying the Mustangs and stuff in Korea, what?
The crowd goes woof, woof, woof.
Yeah. Thank you, Oddball. It's a beautiful tank.
Lemur Crazy says, start with smaller scales and work your way up as your eyesight fails.
There you go.
I am finding 1/32 scale airplanes easier to work on. But you run into a problem with the larger scales, and even with Tamiya kits, the bigger a model gets, the more unwieldy it gets, and the harder it can be to clamp stuff and get wings to line up and everything. Trey's working on that 1/32 scale BF-110, and it's a good kit, but he had to put a lot of work into getting the wings and the fuselage smoothed out, because a lot of times the bigger kits will have a step. They don't fit as flush as they should. I find 1/48 scale to be the happy compromise for most of them, unless it's a really big airplane.
I went to Ollie's yesterday. They had an Avenger kit.
By who?
You had to tell them.
By whom?
And they have 1/16 scale 57 Thunderbird.
I know you like that.
And they have,
How did you not go home with that?
I already have it. I need two. And they have the Ford drag team thing with a 64 Galaxy towing a altered wheelbase Falcon.
Steve Jarvis asked if I am accident prone. That would be a resounding yes. I am what is officially defined as a klutz.
And then it follows it up with, aren't you a pilot?
Yes.
And Super BZL says, and where do you display 1/32 scale? On a shelf that every once in a while falls down and helps you with your,
Thus, you've answered your own question. It crushes your models and a little piece of your soul. What's that? Was it Janis Joplin, Take a Little Piece of My Heart Away?
A piece of my heart now, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, when that shelf collapsed, three things happened. It reaffirmed my faith in physics, it reaffirmed my contempt for physics, and a little piece of my heart just peeled off and went to modeler's hell.
And let's not forget gravity.
Gravity physics.
Gravity is not your friend, Max.
No, it is not. I am what's referred to as gravity intense. And No, I've had little kids run around me and just get pulled into an orbit. You know, and the kids, you should have run faster. You have to go faster now if you want escape velocity.
You're like your own solar system.
There you go, baby.
Don Lee says, accident prone, accident sitting up, accident standing up, accident in any position. You name it, that's me.
I woke up on a floor one time, and I mean, well, probably more than once, but
After a party.
yeah.
Actually, I never have. I'm boring.
Well,
Go
apparently,
ahead. Go ahead,
I don't know exactly how it happened, but I just fell out of bed. I mean, obviously, I rolled over in my sleep, but that and that did. I mean, we're talking about without the assistance of any cough medicine, but
And that didn't wake you up.
you see, Steve, I don't know. When I woke up, I was on the floor. I don't know if I woke up because I fell to the floor or if I had been sleeping there for a while. All I know is in some hotel room and somehow I ended up on the floor. Max is a tail dragger. Oh my god, that's pretty good.
Well, actually, when I was in high school, I didn't wake up real easy. My dad would come down and he'd lift the side of the bed up, just to get me to wake up and get out of bed. Well, one morning I woke up with a bed on top of me.
Your dad was a military man. They know how to do it.
I guess it didn't work. Oh, Garfield says Max was floored.
I was floored to wake up on.
Trey says he woke up once wondering, who's the fool who put carpet on the wall?
Top Box says, I woke up on the floor. The start of all good stories.
Fred says, I'm sure Max's passengers on the flights would love to know that gravity is not Max's friend. What time does the train leave?
Well, although it didn't happen to me, I have heard a couple of guys waking up going and pulling his long hair out and going, I don't remember dancing with her.
Edward Bender says, is Max warping space-time?
I believe if I try hard enough, I probably could. If I run fast enough. But
No, that's not what he's asking.
Ken, I was making the joke about velocity and time, and never mind. So anyway,
Speed is relative, Max.
I would recommend a 148 scale World War II fighter plane or Cold War jet. However, if you're going to get anything big, I'd make it 172nd scale. My hair was real long.
Sluggo must have really had a lot
Thanks,
of
Sluggo.
parties.
And that's why I keep my hair short. I did wake up as a kid with gum in my hair, and that's how I learned. And my mom had to cut a big chunk of my hair out, and so I'm walking around with this square hole in my hair.
Oh, that's how it got that way.
And
Wow, we're getting a lot of interesting wake-up stories here.
Garfield, you may never see it, but if I do, you'll probably feel it. So, anywho.
Don Lee's picked this up real quick.
But, God, there's so many things I want to do this year. Oh, man. So, I am trying to think of if I don't want model building to turn into a job, but once I monetize a channel, it kind of will. But that's okay. It keeps me busy.
Not as long as you keep us around. We'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But the the goals I set for myself on model building are usually pretty easy to meet without too much effort. The thing is and guys, tell me if this is just me or if this is kind of a universal thing. When I get a big kit like the Phantom or the Mustang that's got 300-400 parts or something, I almost don't want to get started because I'm so intimidated because there's so much to do, and it's a little intimidated to crack the box open and get everything. That's one of the reasons I started spreading all the parts out over the wall, make them easier to find, but kind of breaks the workload down in my mind. One thing I've really gotten resistant to doing is keeping all the parts in the box, or every time you got to get another runner tree out. You're like moving 5 out of the way so you can get to the one somebody falls off the table and stuff. So I like to keep them all out where I can see them. But and sometimes I look at people like, oh, do you want this big kit? And I'm like, I don't want to spend $200 on a kit. I'm afraid I'll mess up and be intimidated to start. But I think that's one reason that I really like, the basic 148 scale stuff. It's just, so for lack of a better word, honest. And this Mustang, this Tamiya kit, has got about 100 parts you could not bother to put on, and the world would never know unless you're going to have the panels open. What?
That's a serious kit.
Oh, Ken, it's got photo etch screens fore and aft for the radiator. You got to look up in there with a flashlight, but by golly, there's a metal screen in there. It's got these teeny tiny little parts all over the engine, and I'm like, you almost have to display this thing with the cowling off or your work's going to waste.
The crowd says, model building as a job beats a real job, like running a steam power plant or flying ungrateful people to places they can't afford.
Yeah.
Brian State says modeling is a job. I can't think of anything better.
Yeah.
A Playboy photographer.
Is that magazine even still around?
That could be really frustrating.
By the way, since you brought it up,
For a lot of reasons.
well, since you brought it up, tangent time. I just found out last night. You guys probably know that Playboy owner Hugh Hefner had a DC 931 that was black with the bunny on the tail, and that resort they had in Geneva. It was Geneva, Wisconsin, the Playboy Club. It actually had its own runway, which has not only been decommissioned, but it's been torn up. And one guy was talking about, the problem was it was a short strip, but you're not impressing anybody at the Playboy Club by landing in your Cherokee 140. But
yeah, I gotta, Steve and I, excuse me, slightly change the subject. Of course, that never happens. But Steve and I were talking the other day about how to keep you sane during your retirement when you get tired of building.
Ken, what was the forbidden subject?
What?
I'm dealing with you. You guys never attend staff meetings. We don't talk
anyway,
about that until it happens.
When you have more time on your hand, okay?
When you decide to monetize the channel.
Yes.
Yes, when I decide to monetize the channel.
Of course, he hasn't figured out we've been talking about this for 10 minutes anyway. Oh, well. Okay, when you have more time on your hands, Steve and I were thinking, Max, he's got this really outgoing personality. He loves to talk and he loves to tell stories. And Steve says, yeah, he'd make a good salesman. I said, yeah, Max could sell airplanes.
Ken, have you ever met an airplane salesman?
You're right. You'd enjoy that, Ken.
It's not a matter of enjoying. I've met a lot of airplane salesmen in my time. And there is a prototype, okay? Have you think of a high-end car dealership, very high-end?
Yeah.
They expect you to be articulate, smooth, polished, because you're going to deal with some
big money clients.
Yeah. And I mean, the Cessna dealership, okay, when I was at Oshkosh, they had Beechcraft, had a Starship on display, and Cessna had a Caravan. They had all their stuff out there. And I went up to talk to the salesman, and he took one glimpse at me and gave me the brush off as fast as he could, right? Which, in all fairness, he knew, and I knew there was no way I was going to buy this airplane. So he was going to let me go traipsing through it. And basically, I don't say this with any animosity towards that jerk, but you kind of got to be a snob.
Lance says Max could sell freezers to Eskimos.
But well, one of the problems is that if I was going to sell something, it'd have to be something I actually believed in. And let's say I was going to try and sell, be like what Steve does, a sales rep, with models. And But Steve, you want to tell them about a few of your little adventures dealing with trying to sales rep models? Because I hate to say this, but you just got to deal with idiots. Of course, I guess you got to do that in any endeavor.
Well, it goes along with the territory, so to speak. I mean, your job is to get them to buy something they really don't want to buy. And to do that, you have to make it as enticing and easy for them to want to do it. And even sometimes when you show them how much money they're going to make, they go blank.
There was yeah.
It's frustrating.
And I've done sales. Sales is a lot harder than people realize. I mean, it takes a lot of energy. Kenny, you know this as well as anybody. My superpower is napping.
So beds.
People ask me, what are you gonna do when you're when the time comes to retire? What are you gonna do with your time? I'm kind of like not work. Outside of that,
that's gonna last a while.
Sluggo said you're gonna get a job in the correct change toll booth.
Oh God! And those guys make surprisingly good money. Which, by the way, they're gone here in Florida. If you don't have an easy pass, if you don't have an easy pass, they just photo your license and send you the bill.
Yeah. Plus a service fee.
Helicopter sales has its ups and downs. You know what I'm gonna sell? I know what I'm gonna sell. Trey, you're on to something. I'm gonna sell the Heli-campers.
Because there's such a demand for those.
Because it's going to take a turbine Sikorsky to get my butt off the ground to begin with. But by golly, that's something I believe in. Okay. Do you guys know what I'm talking about, right? The Heli-campers?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm assuming I'm going to just grab a picture real quick, and we're going to... There's the model. Get yourself a Sikorsky Choctaw or a Sikorsky Chickasaw and turn it into a Heli-camper. Now, God, this is the perfect topic to talk about.
All right, okay, hang on for just a second. Lemur Crazy said something really interesting. Max should be a guide in an aircraft museum.
That I would not mind.
That's a possibility. Too bad you don't live in D.C. Go to the Air and Space Museum, be a guide there.
Yeah, that would.
Get the 2000 there real soon.
Too soon, Steve, but yeah, good one. I used to live up there. Hang on, let me just throw it. I'm building a slide real quick here. Okay.
I'll buy that for $1.
RoboCop. I'd buy that for $1. Okay, file, save as, JPEG.
U.S. Air Force Museum. That's in Dayton, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, Dayton, Ohio. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Okay, boys and girls. Stand by to be amazed by the Heli-camper image. Now, I actually saw one of these things for real at Lakeland, and then I didn't realize at the time they were actually made in Orlando helicopters.
They only did one.
Well, that's my brother calling in.
That was one more than was needed.
Hang on, this is my brother. I better pick this up.
Yeah, go ahead. He doesn't know you're on the air.
Let's see, merge active. Hold on, merge. Hey.
Hey, are you flying or on the air?
No, I'm actually doing a live stream.
Oh, okay.
You're just in time.
Oh, am I? What are you streaming?
We're talking about the famous Heli-camper.
The what?
The Heli-camper.
That's what everybody says.
You remember when that guy down in Orlando was converting Sikorsky helicopters into flying campers? He even had a contract with Winnebago.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, we just started talking about that. I saw one at Lakeland. Yeah, he was down in Orlando. That's where he was. He's still around. Somebody just did a video on him recently.
Well, I can't think of a better way to die. In the middle of nowhere on a camping trip with a helicopter.
Well, you want me to? We'll be done at 9:00 local time. You want to call you back when I'm done?
Yeah. I want to talk to you about your trip.
Okay. Yeah, the Bozeman
All
trip.
right, let's
Okay,
get
great.
back to your show.
Okay, I'll call you in about an hour.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. You know what? I almost, except he hadn't had time to think about it. My older brother is kind of the one that got me addicted to models because, like most middle brothers, you kind of, emulate the older brother. And he built a ton of models. So anyway.
There's a modeling project for you, Max. Model the Heli-camper.
Ken, I just said that. Will
There
you
you go.
please pay attention?
That could really make people want to buy it if they saw a model of it, right, Ken?
Yeah, because the little one sells the big one. No, but
Don't you remember that's how a lot of model kit companies got started, especially Johan?
Yeah, they were making promos.
Car dealers.
Yeah, they made promos for. That's right. The little one sells the big one. In the late '60s, early '70s, the Army and the Marines started dumping all their piston engine helicopters, and they'd been well maintained. They were in good shape, and they had a lot of use on them. But this guy in Orlando Helicopters, ran an agricultural operation. He was using the S-55, the one on the right, the four-wheeled version, for crop spraying. Okay? And he figured, well, I'll get a bunch of these choppers cheap. I'll get all the parts and everything. But he's like, you know what? He converted one into, actually, I think it's the one on the right. He converted one into a flying Winnebago. And now you got to understand. You got to understand, this guy had the expertise because he knew how to fly them, maintain them, and everything else. He was already set up to take care of them. But he got the bright idea of the Heli-camper. And so he bought some surplus choppers and converted them. I think they sold in the late 60s, early 70s. I think they sold for $188,000. But Winnebago caught wind of this. And they thought it would be a cool advertising ploy. So they contracted to do one. But he got the one on the left, the bigger Choctaw. I think it's the H-34. Because it had much more, it had a much bigger engine, much more room inside and everything. And Winnebago provided all the internal goodies. And he put it all together, built it. And this was a real flying. They made about 8 of them. I think, or 6 of them, something like that.
No, I heard they only ever made one.
No, they made at least 2. One of them, I think, was sold to someone in Europe, and everybody's lost track of it. The only one, he had his own, his personal one, which I think was the one on the right. The only one he actually sold was the one he sold to Winnebago, and that was just a promotional thing. Winnebago did the whole Heli-camper thing and used it for promos and stuff. It was just to sell Winnebagos. They never... You're right. I don't think they ever actually saw. It seemed like someone in Europe got one, but I don't know if he converted his own or if he bought one from these guys. But the point is that it was. I remember seeing this on, like, I forget, it was Popular Mechanics or one of those magazines, and I was a kid.
Popular Science.
The Popular Science. I was a kid. I was so enamored with that. The idea of living in a helicopter. Now think about this. If you've got a helicopter with amphibious floats, you're talking about land, sea, and air in one vehicle, like that weird thing the Three Stooges were running around in. That submarine on tracks with the helicopter blade. I forget. Oh, God, I saw that as a kid. That is burned into my brain. There's another kit bash for you. Okay? And I've got enough spare parts, I think I could do it.
Well, I think I could just imagine the awning getting sucked up into the rotor.
Well, you got to take all that off and store it inside before you go. But I'm thinking...
The side of the helicopter.
Now, me being me, and probably in dire need of some sort of adult attention, I'm thinking the scene on the right with them, or on the water there, that would be like the ultimate way to start a kaiju movie.
Or at least a shark movie.
Yeah.
It always goes there. It always goes there.
Well, think about it. What are the things you always see in kaiju flicks? Submarines, tanks, ships, and helicopters. You really want to have some fun and be the ultimate nerd. You get one of these helicopters, you put a big logo, Kaiju Research Center with a Godzilla logo on the symbol, and just start flying at places and landing, and set up like Hollywood type, strange equipment. People are like, what's going on? Oh, monster's coming. We're here to record it. When in the heck did I walk onto a movie set? I've never heard of this creature. It's because no one ever survives. That's why we have the helicopter. We're getting out of here.
It's always good to have a helicopter around.
You never know when you have to make a quick getaway. But that would make a cool kit bash. Wouldn't even take that much, really. The model kit, you go buy some, oh gosh, I'll bet you haven't, well, I might have enough spare parts to make most of that already.
Just buy some kind of a camper model.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. And I actually, when I bought the possum, what I made the Possum Lodge van out of, I still have a lot of parts from that, but they could do the interior probably. But awning would be easy enough. I mean, that's 10 minutes at a fabric store. But come on, tell me that is not the coolest thing since pockets.
You could probably sell those, Max.
Well, if the income gap is as bad as they
He's
say,
thinking about it. That's scary.
I'm just thinking. Look, obviously you wouldn't use an old piston engine helicopter, right? You'd get something turbine. Oh my gosh! If I had another, no, I'm not going to do that nice Tacone kit or the big 135. But if I come across another Sky Crane kit that has the pod, that would be. You know what? That would just be too easy.
Yeah, that's not true to this.
Well, not only that, it would.
Of course, the kits and hack it up.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but that on that Sikorsky Sky Crane model that I got, I was reading. I found an article about that medical pod that was underneath it. That was That was an airtight, completely sterile surgical room.
Yeah, until you took off with it.
No, it all sealed up. You never flew with people in it, but it was delivered all sealed. The helicopter, they rolled. That's why it had wheels. They drove it away and put it wherever they needed. It was a trailer, and then they set it up. But it was an airtight, sterile surgical room. They did real, honest to God surgery because it was for battlefield medicine. Guys coming with shrapnel wounds and stuff like that. They do complete, real, honest to God MASH type surgeries on them, and then when they're done, they put them on a regular medevac chopper and fly them to the rear. And they only used it one time in Vietnam for real up on some mountaintop, but they had to bug out because one of the helicopters got mortared. So they were like, okay, we got to leave. But
that's an indication.
Yeah.
When a helicopter blows, okay, time to go.
But the easy way to take out aircraft is on the ground. But anyway,
we're getting a lot of comments about the mother cooking breakfast in the Skycopter.
If you can afford that kind of helicopter, you can afford that kind of wife. Boy, I am in so much trouble.
You could barely stand up in that. She could barely stand up inside that thing.
The crowd says, are you sure these weren't field brothels?
Oh, God. Hey, don't ask, don't tell. Then again, hold on now. That's not an entirely bad idea. I mean, the more
profitable.
Can you imagine? Hold on. Can you imagine how you do on the oil rigs with that? Just saying.
I mean, you wouldn't be subject to any local laws because you weren't a permanent structure.
Just saying.
They're building a new pipeline in Alaska.
Okay, let's get back to models before we wind up getting back in YouTube jail.
That new Barbie Dream Copter.
Oh, that'd be the one from Riptide, the pink one.
Yeah, this has gone completely off the rail.
It has.
Oh yeah, this is a really good tangent. We're having a lot of fun with this one.
Oh my God. Just fill it full of booze and make spot landings in dry counties and sell and run.
Steve Jarvis says, "Heli brothels."
Mm.
Look, now you know what? I don't think I'm going to go there.
No.
You guys.
Trouble when this live stream's over anyway.
Yeah,
It's a whole new hell on wheels.
Well, you guys know I have that wonderful artwork that I was able to acquire from Mike Machat of Mort Kunstler's box art for the Aurora Era Commander. Well, he passed away at like 95 just recently, and they covered him on Legacy.com. Well, anyway, I was curious because I knew he did some movie posters like the Poseidon Adventure and a few others. So I went and saw some of his artwork. Well, he also did, and he was a really good artist. He also did a lot of artwork for a bunch. They don't have them anymore, but Steve, do you remember when they used to have like pulp magazines, like True Detective and that stuff?
Yeah.
And a lot of them had a lot of them had the what you might consider somewhat risque artwork on the front.
Yes.
Well, he did a lot of that, and I saw his library, and I was like, whoa. Okay, I can't look at my Aurora artwork the same way now. He was good too.
This is making up for last week.
But how can I put this? He had a thing for military men with guns and girls with guns. And you can go look at Mort Kunstler. Go look at some of his artwork if you want. Tell him Max sent you. But I was like,
here's a Russ Meyer follower.
Something along those lines. Let's just leave it at that. But I was like, because there's no nudity. Don't get me wrong. These were like, but what was the name on the map? Sage and a couple others. I forget. These were definitely written for a male audience in the 50s and 60s. And I was kind of like, whoa, was not expecting some of that. But and he definitely did not like commies. I
$2 left you a long time.
I mean, about a quarter. He's actually famous for his Civil War artwork, which is really good. But some of the stuff he did, about half of them have American GIs gunning down commies, in big numbers, while saving some lovely young lady. But I was kind of like, okay, that was interesting. That, you know what? Go look at some of that box art and tell me if you wouldn't buy the kit if that was made. Anyway. So, I don't know if he did any other box arts other than the Aurora one, but he did a lot of movie posters. But interesting stuff.
That's pulp rags and women in underwear and Nazis holding them hostage.
More or less, that's kind of the gist. Sort of like a Corman film, And I was kind of like, interesting. If that was a movie, I hate to admit it, but I'd go watch it. And, oh no, I almost said something, but that somebody would get the joke and I'd never live it down.
Ooh, you got us wondering now.
Hey, I was 16, Elsa, she-wolf of the SS. Right now, somebody is typing away. I guarantee you. Because I know I'm not the only one that went to the theater underage to see that. And here they come.
Mini girls in bubble helmets.
Hey, tell me.
It says commies? I thought you said connies.
Communists. But, look at some of that artwork and go, if I saw that as a model on the shelf, I'd build it, but I'd never let my mom know I had it. But anywho.
And some pretty crazy stuff.
Now that Pulp Fiction books have gone away, we now have YouTube videos.
Yeah. What was one of them? The guy, the American commandos around, in the shadows with a Luger, and like you described the Nazis with the girls and everything, and it was called like Hitler's Sin Castle or something like that. I'm like, God, this is so much like a Corman film, and I'm sitting there going, that actually wouldn't make a bad movie. Thanks, Brian. The more I think, well, that's like, was it Mars Squad? They made the cartoon they made for a year or two. We talked about a while back where the Martians are all like purple with helmets and with these
Mars Attack.
Whatever. Anyway, the specialty like special forces team that's always fighting, but they always have real military equipment. And I know the magazine only went for a year or two. We talked about it a while back, but it was I was like, man, that needs to be a movie, because if they made models of that stuff, I'd have bought the whole collection.
Mars, yeah. Somebody got it. Mars Attacks.
No, not Mars Attacks. This was a military thing, because there was also a series, military special forces, because they had like a pilot, a demo expert, a frogman. Mars Patrol Total War. That was it. Mars Patrol from well, now it says Dark Horse Comics, but that might be a newer one. And let me see, Mars. Copy.
Okay.
Here we go. Yeah. The bad guys always wore purple costumes. Here we go. And they used standard, modern military. Oh, this is the one I remember. I think my brother might have had this. The one we were just talking to might have had this pinned up on the wall with all his model box art. Hang on. Okay, edit, paste, resize, 200.
To the interweb.
To the interweb!
Savage V24 says, Max's gut attacks.
Well, they made that movie. It was called The Blob. Figure I'd get the joke in before somebody else did. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Image. I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but I was like, as a kid, I would have bought every kit model of this.
Garfield says, Mars Patrol, published by Gold Key Comics.
There it is. He's right. Gold Key Comics. Okay, the aliens aren't purple. Their uniforms are. And they always had these, like, optics screwed to the top of their helmet. What?
One fine wafer thin mint, sir?
Where do I know that from?
Monty Python.
Uh,
when Mr. Creosote comes for dinner at the restaurant.
Well, this is Mars Patrol, and these and in this one you see, I mean, they're driving a. It's not the Weasel, it's that snowbound vehicle, but it's actually a real piece of military hardware. One's firing a bazooka. They all got their machine guns. They got their pilot coming in with the jet, laying rockets on them, but it was. I was like, and the thing was how technically accurate a lot of the drawings were,
looks like a T-38.
Let's see if I can blow it up here a little bit. Looks
Weird
like
looking Martians.
Yeah, they got like I say, they got the purple helmet, the purple uniforms. Apparently the Martians have.
It's camouflage on Mars.
Yeah. Well, Ken actually thought about it, but that actually makes sense.
It says Mars Patrol stands for Marine Attack Rescue
Service. That was it. Okay.
So it's not necessarily on Mars against Mars.
No, it's on Earth. They're fighting on Earth, defending from the aliens. I don't know if the aliens are actually from Mars, but invasion at the Arctic Circle. Well, a lot of grass for the Arctic Circle.
They're probably from France.
But
that would make sense.
These are the kind of comic books I was raised on, which probably explains a great deal.
Christopher Jordan says it's an F-80.
I thought it was an. I think it's inspired by the F-80, but it looks like it has a T-tail. I guess maybe they modified the equipment a little bit. But
JM says, what about The Green Slime Nurse Contingent.
Oh, there you go, baby. The green slime, the green slime.
Didn't you get the movie?
You think?
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I
just made a really interesting point. Snow and palm trees?
Yeah.
I was saying, well, they want to be comfortable. They attack the Arctic Circle with snow and palm trees. There you go.
And then Robert Austin says, why is the purple tank shooting at its own troops? They're French, I told you.
I think he's supposed to be shooting at the little Mars buggy, but who knows? He missed. That's all that matters. They all went to the Imperial Stormtrooper Academy of Marksmanship, because there's no way you'd be missing with a BAR at that range.
I love that giant radio on the back of that one guy.
Ken, and the military radios back then were that big. Plus, it's got to make phone calls all the way to Mars.
That's true.
And by the way, Ken, I went in the Army in 1979. The PRC-77 radio I had to carry on my back was about almost that big, especially with a spare battery. So, and he's not even carrying the long whip antenna.
Yeah.
But it kind of made sense. I mean, those radios had to be able to transmit without any boosters or in signals at quite a distance. So, and they actually worked pretty well.
What year was this published in? Can you tell?
Do I still have it up here?
I mean, in the 60s.
69. 65 to 69. It went longer than I thought. It went 4 years. Mars Total War was a short-lived science fiction by Gold Key Comics for 10 issues. Oh, it only went 10 issues. So only it's from July of 65 to August of 69. So they only put out a couple a year, 2-3 a year. First 2 issues were titled Total War, and the artist was Wally Wood.
On the lower left corner.
What's that?
I saw that.
What?
The grenade, the guy's
Yeah, it's a weird mix of a
head.
German stick grenade and an American pineapple. I think there were grenades that made like that, though. I'm not sure. Plot and characters. The comic told of an invasion of all nations of the Earth by unknown invaders who used teleportation to appear at different destinations. Dressed in purple uniforms with a black crab insignia on a yellow circle. Used weapons similar to what was currently in use, with each one having a night vision device on their helmet. Gosh, this sounds a little bit like the way the U.S. troops operate today. They made no demands but kill anyone, military or civilian, in their path, and prefer to kill themselves rather than surrender. Oh, very kamikaze. Al Bushido. Though they were humanoid, they were noticeably hairless with no eyebrows. And their internal organs were different. And opposing them, Marine Attack Rescue Service of the U.S. Marine Corps.
This is the future. You don't need long antennas.
But they've got a call all the way back to the home planet. The Mars Patrol combat teams are made of a combination of commandos, paratroopers, and guerrillas. The main focus team is composed of Lieutenant Cy Adams, leader and combat pilot, Corporal Russ Stacy, weapons expert, then why is he still and commando, then why is he still a corporal? Sergeant Joe Stryker, demolitions and paratrooper, Sergeant Ken Hiro, frogman, and skilled martial artist. The team is also ethnically diverse, with 2 European Americans, an African American, and an Asian American. They wear Vandergrift jackets and berets, tarted up with gold Marine Corps insignia. Okay, that goes on to describe their uniforms and stuff. This is interesting. A wide range of current and near possible future military equipment was used, including the OV-10 Bronco, the F-104 Starfighter, the Bell rocket belt, and the Piasecki flying jeep and one-man gyrocopters. Ha-ha! They primarily used Thompson submachine guns, Browning automatic rifles, 1917 Browning machine guns, and the old M9 bazooka. Plus the new M14 rifle and M79 grenade launcher. It's unclear how much involvement Wally Wood, the artist, had with the creation of the comic, as he followed this title with his spy-fi work on the Thunder Agents. A totally different... that looks more like superhero stuff. And...
Craig says, were the Martian army all men? Did they bring nurses?
No, I think it was all men. Dark Horse Comics reprinted the first 3 issues in a trade paperback collection. Interesting. heck.
Savage B24 says the guy in the middle is going down as he just realized he's wearing purple.
Yeah, it's the new red. You know, this is the kind of thing that you can make a diorama of this and put a printout of the article. And you could use, it wouldn't take much to modify, existing soldier figures. And, again, the whole idea of tonight's thing was talk about doing something different with your models. That's why I thought this was perfect. The Heli-camper, the Mars Patrol, all of this is classic of stuff that you can do with your models just to do something different. Get out there and have some fun. Yeah, make up your own story.
If this Mars thing, and you had it in your house and people came over, they'd feel sorry for you.
Steve, I don't need that diorama to make people come over and feel sorry for me.
Don Lee says, Craig, there was a documentary movie about it. Mars needs women.
Could be the reason they're here. They never did state what their objective was.
It's always the same.
Was Winston Niles' mom found
anything
CNC
inside,
of
or are
the?
you just going to show us the cover?
Oh no, that's all I had. I mean, there's more covers, but I just went on. Oh crap! I'll close that window. But I have a very faint recollection. I usually never got past the cover. They go, ooh, cool stuff. Purple guys and machine guns. What more do I need? Let's see. What do I have here?
Does helmets remind me of the headgear worn in The Great Santa versus the Martians? I'm sure that was a real popular movie.
Oh.
He is Dora's first role.
You remember what they said about it being a world attack? I've got to show you this. Now, the tread heads out there are going to get the significance of this right quick. Okay. Fran, you're going to love this. File, save as, JPEG. All right. And sorry, guys. It takes a lot of button clicks to make the magic happen. Okay. Add, image, browse, and... Okay, guys, I want you to look at this artwork, and this is really more for the tankers. And there's our purple boys lobbing grenades and getting blown to pieces. Look at the airplane, look at the tank, and I'm not going to say it. I'm going to give you guys a minute, and trust me, this is related to models too. But okay, there's an airplane on the upper right and a tank on the upper left. Now we got to give folks a little second to figure it out and then start typing. And I might add that the tank is nice olive drab with a big white American star on it.
Yeah, we've noticed that. It's got a little radar dish on the side, too.
So why is it in Moscow?
Well,
yeah,
you're not wrong. There he goes. Fran, I knew Fran would get it. It's a Joseph Stalin. It's a JS-3. It's a Russian tank. It was their big super heavy they made right after the war. Yep, Stalin tank. Yep. And the early MiG on the right, which was what Aurora sold as the MiG before they knew what the MiG looked like, and it was completely wrong. There's an Aurora kit of that model that they called, I think it was the MiG-17, and it wasn't. It was a test bed the Russians flew and didn't go with, but it was the only thing Aurora could find a picture of, so they just made it and labeled it wrong. And so you got what I assume to be Americans in Moscow using a Russian tank, which they probably put in American colors because they're Americans.
sneak attack.
Here we go.
That looked like he's really enjoying himself.
And edit, paste, crop, file, save as. Well, they weren't kidding about using
machine guns and shooting at a tank. That's going to be productive.
Well, it makes them close the hatch. Okay. Let's see. Image, browse.
That hand grenade's going to do a whole lot of good too.
Yeah. But Here,
The guy next to him looks like he's thinking it over. Do I get up and shoot or do I just leave?
well, judging by the fact that one guy is shooting to the left, I guess they're being flanked. But there, I just put up underneath it, there is the model of the Aurora MiG-19, which is not a MiG-19. Like I say, it was an experimental thing the Russians built like one of and didn't go with. But you got to get, heck, for all I know, they may have gotten that idea from the Aurora model. In fact, odds are they probably did, because I think Aurora made the Stalin tank also. Holy crap! I think the artist was using Aurora models. I love these live streams. We discover all kinds of cool stuff.
What if that was the holy hand grenade?
Oh, thou shalt not count to two, for two shall not be enough. By the way, Ken, that's not a radar dish. If I'm not mistaken, that's a loudspeaker. Because I like to play music when I go in, man, you know. Really freaks the Germans
you can
out.
tell from that picture. Looks like the purple guys are coming in on landing craft down there on the right, shooting the machine guns.
Well, yeah, it's purple, so they probably brought a landing craft with them. Almost like he's shooting through his own guy there, although I'm sure he's shooting behind him. But, yeah, none of them look too happy. They're like, man, this is really going south. What are we even doing on this planet?
Looks like a TA-182.
Yeah, the TA-182 had a tail like that. It didn't have the radar dish, obviously, but in the nose. But it, the Russians built. I found a picture of it, and it actually had they built one that like that had side by side engines, and one that had one engine on top of the other, but they were staggered. And Aurora found a picture of it, labeled a MiG-19, and made a model of it, which is actually a very expensive kit now because of its rarity. Even though it was horribly inaccurate, but it's Aurora, who cares? Anyway, you know, it's rare. That's all people really care about. But these are the comic books of the 60s, baby. That was the stuff I was raised on.
Well, that explains some.
But, well, you know, I tell people when you're building a diorama, all right, if you're worried about something being inaccurate, just get a scale movie crew and put them there with a camera. It's a movie. It's a technical error, you know. Get away with anything when a film crew's watching it. But
and they do try. Oh, that's too expensive to make. Oh, we'll do this. It doesn't make any sense. It defies the laws of physics. So what?
Plot armor. Well, that's how Black Widow can take out 6, 200-pound, highly trained guards, Being an evil lackey has its drawbacks.
Put a big enough engine in it and it'll fly.
Yeah, well.
What they have for?
Look at the Harrier.
Oh, yeah, that too. That thing was basically an engine with wings on it.
I'm currently converting one of those Atlantis repops of the Aurora IS-3 to a sci-fi tank for one of my games. Well, there you go. Oh, man. Well, what else? We got about 20 minutes left. What else do we got?
Got another comic book cover?
Oh, sure. I can find another one.
They're entertaining to pick apart.
Let's see. This is actually a book. Oh, maybe that's what. Maybe they're books, not comic books. Oh, he's pummeling this guy. He's giving him a what for?
Oh, now we're back on topic that I can't remember.
We're on a topic?
Uh-oh, drink.
F4.
F4 is proof that if we put enough engine in an aircraft, we can make it fly. Yep.
That is almost the definition of a jet. Okay. He's giving him the what for in this one. And he's pounding the crap out of that invader. Is he wearing brass knuckles? What's he got in his hand? Oh, that's the guy whizzing around just over his hand.
The Merc Crazy says, maybe a live unboxing next week. Or every week. Watch Max build. Build Max build.
Yeah, because that always works out well. Oh, at the top you can see the 4 characters. The Frogman, the pilot, the explosives expert, and the commander.
Kind of a low-rent G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I'd say that's... Yeah, the city is doomed unless the Mars team can penetrate the invader's curtain of invisibility.
Oh, man. It looks like they messed up a perfectly good sailboat.
Yeah, Ken. That's the takeaway.
Depends on your point of view.
Never mind fist-fighting armed purple aliens. You know, they messed up a good sailboat.
They did. Broke it right in half. What a shame.
I'm serious. You could make a decent movie with this. Hey, I look at the stuff that's come out of Hollywood in the past 20 years. Okay, and this can, if it's done right, can hold up to some of it. Just make it a fun, cheap actioneer
with humor.
Oh, gotta have humor. I'm gonna be honest.
There you go.
I'm not sure these guys look like the funniest lot around, but
I bet you can get the rights real cheap.
You know, I tell you where you get your humor. You make the purple Martians the funny ones, always griping about having to deploy.
Meanwhile, I like the kind of green Devo helmet on the Frogman.
That's his goggles. That's the goggles. Yeah, it's his mask.
That's his mask.
Yeah.
On his head.
Well, he's got it up right now. Puts
water.
it down when he comes, because it covers his whole face. I think you can't see it from that angle.
JM says, add some hot nurses. Oh yeah.
You think that's a given? Yeah. Hey, anybody notice anything in the upper right corner that sort of dates this thing?
What?
The beret?
Further upper right.
The yellow helmet?
Above it.
12 cents?
12 cents. I think that gives you a hint when this thing was made. A comic book or regular book, I don't know the last time I was able to get anything for 12 cents. I think you get a little bit better look at the Frogman's mask down, he's coming out of the water.
Ooh, Bill Campbell says, Max, speaking of 60s action figures, did you read where Mattel is planning on re-releasing Major Matt Mason? I
think I heard something about this. There might be a little more to that story. I think I told you guys that 15 years ago, I had written a screenplay for Major Matt Mason. I started snooping around to get the rights so I could do it. And I couldn't get anybody at Mattel to pick up the phone, not their legal department or anybody. I left messages and nobody would get back with me. Then it turned out that, as the fates would have it, Spielberg and Hanks were actually pitching the idea at the same time, but it never got greenlit. So apparently Mattel, which apparently the only thing Mattel does in the United States is they have an office building. They don't make anything here. But they were not the least bit interested in sharing the rights because, believe it or not, it's still a viable intellectual property. And I also found out that in the 80s or 90s, some guy here in Florida, some independent filmmaker, tried to make a Major Matt Mason movie. He got his butt suit off. So I was like, well, I'm not going down that path. So I'm not surprised. I had a feeling at some point that was going to come back. And the Major Matt Mason...
Got him to call.
Huh? What?
He got him to call. He made a movie. He got him to call.
Yeah. Well, that's like somebody I know was trying to get permission to use the Disney logo on his stuff, and he couldn't get anybody to call, answer the phone, or anything. And so he went ahead and put it on there. Boy, he got a call from their legal department within a week.
That's the easiest way to do it.
Well, like they say, easier to, beg forgiveness than ask permission. Because, well, look, that's how Fantastic Plastic does it. He makes the models. He doesn't pay any royalties. And if somebody complains, he gets a C&D, a cease and desist, and he stops. And if nobody says anything, he keeps on going. And the only one that really got him in trouble was he did a Millennium Falcon and no one cared until he happened to do one in the exact same scale that I want to say it was Airfix was going to make one. Or maybe it was NPC, and he accidentally made it the same scale as theirs, and they sent him a C&D, so he stopped, and that was that. And but well, what else do we have?
Comics are $5 an issue now.
Even adjusting for inflation, they shouldn't be that expensive. A kit model airplane that I paid $1 for as a kid, I ran the numbers, should cost about $15 to $16 today, adjusting for inflation and everything else, and they're $24. So they just don't have the economy of scale they used to.
Well, that's because the price of plastic went way up too.
Yeah. Yeah, after 73, they got, the oil crisis 73 murdered them. Let's see, dollar exchange rate. No, I don't want euro, I want time.
Don Lee says $5 an issue is a cheap comic book. Wow.
Yeah, it is. Inflation calculator. All right, inflation
$5
calculator.
comics and 20 cents of content.
Okay, let's put 1973. $1, $7.15. So a 148 scale monogram kit shouldn't cost more than $10, and most places you go, they're $22, $25. And it is what it is. Although it's 70, yeah, I think it's 70.
Sharks don't attack lawyers out of common courtesy.
Professional courtesy. Professional courtesy.
Yeah.
Okay, according to this, going back to 1970, where I know I paid $1 for a kit, yeah, they should cost $8.19. And even adjusting for the price of styrene, it shouldn't be much over $10. But it is what it is. No economy of scale like there used to be. Wow. A $1970 worth $8.19.
And Nathan brings up a good point. He says, yes, model kits do cost more, but the molding and the detail and what you get in the kit is so much superior to what they were making in the 60s.
Now, you're right. You're right if, big if, they are using new molds. But sometimes I see these prices from Revell on the exact same SBD Dauntless that I bought as a kid. I mean, it's the exact same kit, so they have not put a new mold on it. Okay, 1980, it was $3.86. 1980, I went to the Army. I made $411 a month, just for that'd be about $1,600. Yeah, it still don't pay much. I'm just curious. 2010. Well, a 2010 dollar is worth $1.46 today. So in 15 years, 45%. That's less than 3%. That's actually not all that bad. I think they average 3% a year is normal. So, but yeah, like the kit that you guys are going to see on the video I've got going up tomorrow. I'll show you a still picture of it real quick. Image. This is a from Carrera. It's a Carrera.
There might be another factor in there too, that the people who are buying kits now have more disposable income.
Well, that's because it's mostly an adult hobby now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm putting up a picture of the Carrera Ren motor. This is the kit that Ian. It's in tomorrow morning's video. This is the kit that Ian has in his shop. It's a $200 kit. but it's like the V8. It works. You put a battery in it and it works. But that's the kind of kit I'd be very intimidated by because there's a lot going on there, but it's very, very accurate. And Steve, that might be the kind of thing you'd go for. I know you're into cars, and that's like you're like the V8 or Fran. If you want to spend a $200, model.
Well, it's a nice kit. I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
It's a really nice kit.
It is. Now, Carrera, the people who make the model track, the slot cars, that's who made this?
No. Mm-mm.
What?
No, Carrera was a kind of a model of Porsche.
Right, but I thought Carrera was a company that manufactured this kit.
No, I don't think so. No, Francis on the bottom is the one who manufactured it.
Oh, I've never even heard of Francis. F-R-A-N. How was that spelled? C-I-Z?
Z-I-S.
Z-I-S. Z-I-S. Okay, Francis. Oh, yeah. Apparently, they've just done a couple of engines. The BMW R90S box motor, the Ford V8, Ford Mustang V8. And the Ren motor. Yeah, they've only got a few kits, all car engines. That's a oddly, and the VWK for 4-cylinder boxer motor. That is an oddly specific thing, but okay. Interesting.
Not a cheap kit either.
No, that's a $200 kit.
Yeah. No, they're not cheap. I've looked at them and I'm like, well, buy a lot of plastic for that money.
Yeah.
Do they move or is it totally static?
No, they move.
Yeah,
they work. They work.
Yeah, but
Nice. Is that a Wankel?
No.
No, it's
of
piston.
course
I see the pistons. Okay. There's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah, there are.
Had to make a little correction and put in.
Natasha says, I learned today Max doesn't know everything about models.
I absolutely do not. Do.
Oh, Garfield is just going off on lawyer jokes.
Well, they really never do get old.
Do you ever tell your brother any of them?
All the time. He knows more of them than I do.
Did Old Man Porsche do for war crimes? I think it was about 2 or 3.
Well, I tell you,
Yeah.
you look at some of the tanks he designed, they were a war crime. De Ferdinand. Old man Porsche is lucky he didn't face criminal charges from the Germans as well as the Americans.
That's the muffler, Alan.
Why put a crank and pistons in it when it ain't going to work? Duh.
Boy, there's just a regular litany of lawyer jokes here.
Oh, yeah, everybody's coming out with them.
Well, that was everything I had. Didn't really have a lot of time to prepare for this week. Now, okay. Now for the bad news. Save the worst for last. Get my little thingy here real quick. Yeah. Yeah, guys, this is going to be the last live stream for a while. In fact, we won't be going back to our regular Saturday night live streams till March 29th because I have to work all the weekends. And we do have some announcements coming in early April. But I don't want to say anything because nothing's done yet. But into March, still planning to put the Korean build video up then. And yeah, with this work schedule, I am not going to be putting out much content in March until about the third week. And so March 29th is our return to normalcy. We may have one Friday, March 21st. But our next Saturday night won't be the 29th. And then we should be back on our regularly scheduled program. Although I do have some things in the near future but I'll announce those as they come. So
we got 2 what and 1 work.
Yes, I do have a day job. Road builds, with that schedule, maybe. I won't rule it out. I've actually been saving a model that I thought might survive the travel, but we'll see how we'll see how that pans out. No problems.
Christopher sent you in your email a picture of Ravel's website.
Okay.
Frank says, "Now how will we waste our Saturday nights?"
Well, build models, send pictures.
Abby something?
In that order?
Yes, to me a 1mm tape does work good for framing canopies if you can match the color. Okay, I'm just checking the email real quick, see if it showed up yet. And it's just about time to go.
Nathan says, "Well, I guess for the next few weeks I'll just have to on Saturday night watch some classic Max live stream episodes."
That's what you should do in your absence. Run the best of Max's models and just put them up.
Well, I could always give you guys access to give me my password and let you run a live stream.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait a minute, Steve. This could be fun.
That's true. We could have a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, would Monica do your place instead of you?
Oh, God, no.
Now there's a thought.
No way.
No?
If you want to talk about dolls, maybe.
Well, yeah, but it would devolve into living dolls, so no, I don't think that would work.
Yeah, that's pretty much a non-starter.
Garfield. Oh, that is
communicated from the live stream.
That is rough. Garfield saying there are no best of Max's models.
It's because they're all gems of equal value.
Josh says the VW bus build.
Now we're gonna get nominations.
Yeah. Brian Tate says, "Ken, Steve, and Monica." I'd watch that.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah. That's going to be a hard no.
We would be on our best behavior.
That's a pretty low bar.
Yeah.
Naughty cat.
Yeah, sure. We could do, okay. Oh, by the way, Max, when you have more time, are you going to do a live stream from my boat?
Yeah, we can probably work that out at some point. I don't see why not.
You guys should find out when there's going to be a launch from the Cape.
And
sail up to them.
I'd be up for that. Well, Trey and Fran and I still need to do our road trip down to IMAX and actually a few other museums too. But I'd like to get out the Naval Air Museum also. I haven't been out there in decades. But and I am working on the interview. I got all the interview material with the Colonel, but I'm still working on putting together the box history episode. And Lou's off to Japan, so hope that works out. From JD Hobbies. Yeah, he's going to go try and meet Mr. Tamia.
Yeah.
And I hope that works. I hoping to go with him, but my schedule just absolutely did not work out. And with things pending in the future, now is not the time to go off on such jaunts. But
Garfield says, the VW build, the longest episode. The bang stick, the shortest episode.
Boomstick. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's 9 o'clock. I got to call my brother and get dinner and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, well, I want to thank everyone for coming out on Friday night. I hope you had a little bit of fun. And, guys, take care of yourselves. Guys, I'll let you say your adioses, and then we'll head on out.
Well, guys, it's going to be an ordeal not sharing part of the weekend with you for quite some time. But Ken and I will keep our heads up and prepare behind the scenes for when we go back on the air. So until then, model on. Okay.
Tracy says, Max should build a boat on Ken's boat.
There you go.
Not the worst idea.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, guys, thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening to all crazy stuff. And y'all got some pretty crazy stuff, too, so it's been a lot of fun. And, yeah, hopefully Max will give us the keys to the car, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you for coming. Have a good evening.
Guys, we'll see you in 3 weeks, if not before. Take care of yourselves, and as always, model on. Bye.